Hey, welcome back to the Hillside, everyone. Today, let me talk to you about Clematis. It's a nice vining, perennial, hardy to zone. I think 4. It's very common. It's really beautiful. It's really one of those plants that take really little maintenance whatsoever. But there can become a time when the plants kind of get old and tired and need rejuvenated. So let me talk to you about how you can do that here. So this example here, you can kind of see is kind of overgrown as trellis. I mean, it's even found a way to attach itself to the siding and kind of vining down the house. But anyways, I mean, you can tell it was covered in flowers as these little seed pods here are kind of all the way around it. So it flowered just fine. But you know, it does, like most things, get tired and need rejuvenated. Okay. Now, if you kind of look down in here, going for a little field trip, you can kind of see how the bottom of the stalks here get very woody and kind of brittle. And if you can kind of see in there, it's not going to focus too well, but let's see if I can get a better shot right in here. There you go. See, like right here, you're going to get a lot of woody, just kind of barren stalks in there, which over time, you know, as long as there's a trellis on the top, you may or may not see it. However, you do need to regenerate these plants from time to time, like I've been trying to say, to give them that shock to basically regrow and get some new flush of younger, softer wood growth that's going to be put on more flowers, be more productive, and actually help the plant to recharge itself and develop more side shoots, lateral shoots, shoots from the ground, whatever it may or may not be. So let me show you an example over here of what I've done to 2 of my clematis earlier this summer, which I'll probably end up doing to this one next year. Just to kind of get it back in check and kind of help it regenerate. So let me go show you these other 2 over here right now. Okay, so now these clematis here, you can tell they're much greener, softwood growth. They're not the old ratty kind of worn out leaves and everything. You can even see that it's trying to put on new blooms right there, which is more common for early spring. I think more like April, May when these things bloom. So to be blooming in August is pretty unheard of. But the reason for that is because this is all new growth. So probably about 6 weeks ago, this plant was just all dead woody stems with very few leaves on it, honestly. I kind of thought the plant might have died. So I did kind of just a Hail Mary on this thing. You can kind of tell this old woody growth right here in front of you. Okay, come right here, and that is, I just cut it off. Okay. Same here at this one. I cut this off right there, vice versa, all the way down the row. These are 2 separate plants. And I thought they were dead, so I figured they'll either grow back or they won't. And look what happened. It's growing great. It's putting out tons of new growth. I've kind of been able to train this better, kind of up the trellis, where it had just been, like I said, just a jumbled mess of dead woody stems and everything. And according to this one over here, did the same thing. It's doing quite well, as you can see right there, and it's actually putting on more blooms at the top. So if you have a clematis plant that looks like it's just old woody stems, it maybe has no leaves hardly on it, it looks sad, it looks, you know, these guys can take a pretty substantial cutting back. Now you might ask, what time of year should I do this? I did mine in, I think, late June, you know, whenever they finished blooming and the plants had really kind of gotten looking pretty shabby. But I would think that anytime that you have enough time for the plant to recover, and it's not going to be too hot and too dry depending on your climate. So we had plenty of rain. This is a nice semi-shady spot here on the side of the house. So if this were in full sun, I think I would not recommend doing that, but it's all relative about the location of your plant. So I would shoot towards more of a late spring, maybe early summer, depending on your climate. You can kind of adjust for that. And we're about maybe 60 days, maybe a little bit less for the first frost in my area. So this has put on plenty enough growth, I think, and it's going to continue to grow enough that it will be able to recharge itself. It's even going to try to bloom. And with that being said, it's going to be able to basically store enough energy in the new growth and the new roots, well, everything that it's putting on together there, to help it survive. And hopefully when it comes back next year, it's going to be a lot more healthier and a lot more lush, and be, it may not bloom as much as it's trying to put on that vegetative growth. But, you know, in the long run, you're going to get much healthier plants by doing the cut back of your clematis. I have read and heard from other people saying if you cut them back, you're going to kill them, and you can't do this, you can't do that. Okay, let me show you. I just showed you. It can very well be done. So let me show you one other way to possibly regenerate or rejuvenate a clematis plant to help you prolong the life of the plant, and even maybe get some free plants out of it as well. All right, so if this looks like it's on the ground, it's because it is. It's not growing on a trellis at all. So what happened is I planted a little cutting, or a little, I guess, root division I got from another interesting collared clematis I didn't have. So I was like, put it over here, and it didn't do well at all. And it pretty much, I thought it was going to die. It had one little sad looking little vine coming off of it that was just a little woody thing. So you can actually layer these plants as well. So what does that mean, to layer a plant? Well, basically you lay it on the ground and you cover it with some dirt. Okay, you don't really bury it too deep, you know, maybe an inch or two, but you keep it nice and moist. Maybe put a rock or something on top to keep that soil to plant contact. And over time, you know, what was just an old, basically this old, just little one single strand of life that was clinging onto this, I was able to layer it here under the ground. And I kind of pre-did this, so loosening it up right here, just to kind of show you what you may or may not expect, which is more difficult than it may or may not seem with one hand. But let me go ahead and pull this guy out. You see right here. Now these are fresh roots right here. Okay, and I don't want to do this without on the camera because it's going to be too difficult with doing this out without damaging it. But, you know, at a node right there, it put on some new fresh roots. I have actually since then cut this off from the main stem that it was attached to. It is growing just fine. These roots are very well established. I think it was actually trying to root here as well, whereas this little node was in the ground. But you can see how much growth I have produced. I mean, look, it's probably another almost probably 1.5 to 2 feet full of growth that's come from that little cutting right there. So if you have a variety that you want to propagate, growing clematis from seed is extremely difficult. I've never had any success with it, but layering these down, absolutely. I didn't do it, but if you want to take some of the hardwood cuttings, maybe try to root those. I don't know how well they'll take. You have to take somebody else's word for it because I've never tried that. But my two favorite ways to basically regenerate a clematis is to cut it back, let it get new growth, flesh out, and you're gonna be just fine. If you can bear with it not flowering for 1 year, because it will set it back quite a bit. It's not gonna be that great profusely blooming vine you may or may not want in your flower bed anyways. But anyways, last thing, like I said, I showed you those nice healthy roots right there. At this stage, you can dig this up, put it into a container. You can probably move it. Yeah, so there you go. So it took probably maybe 2 months ago I did this, and it's doing just fine. And that one variety that was over here, like I said, this is just the last remaining little stick of it. I'm trying to stick it in right here under this part right here to try to root it there as well to get just one more plant to save this little variety that is I thought was pretty unique. It was like, I think, pink with like a white center, so I thought it was pretty cool. But anyways, there you go. So it is possible to propagate clematis through layering on the ground. Showed you that, showed you how you can cut it back to promote more lush growth to get it kind of tame and go from there. And just one more time, let me show you down here. When your clematis looks like this and it's just old and woody and ratty, when your whole plant looks like this and it's just not looking healthy at all, you know, it's time to cut it back. Okay, that's my opinion. You'll put out some new growth from the bottom. We're doing just fine. Don't do this in the fall because I think it may damage the plants. I don't want to tell you to do that and then it should kill the plant. So from my experience, a late spring cutting back is the best medicine for getting your clematis to rejuvenate and go from there. So I hope this was informative. Hope you guys do give this a try whenever your clematis get out of control and you look kind of ratty and overgrown like this one. So I think the fate of this plant here will be next year will be like its brothers and sisters over there that you just saw. It's going to get a nice good haircut with hopefully getting a flush of new healthy growth, and this plant will get back online. So there you go, guys, from the Hillside Garden. Hopefully you like this. Please give it a thumbs up if you did appreciate the content. I hope to see you here next time, guys. All right then, bye-bye.